tables have turned, eh? I have a question for each of you, and it's a little different given your different positions and like currently. But I'll start with Alex's. I'm having a bit of deja vu with your campaign. The bulk of it is exactly the same things that you ran on last year. And in your speech you just gave, you said people keep running on the same promises they ran on the year before, and how you implied that was a big problem. But you're doing the same thing. Last year you advocated for looking into joining CASA, which is great, but not until very recently have we gotten any any progress on that where it's now on the referendum. Additionally, you talk about reforming the housing website, and I don't think that's been touched once this year, even given the new website that we have with the SAC. So my question is, why haven't you made any substantial progress this year on the things you campaigned on last year? And for Mark, how are we going to keep you accountable for the things that you campaigned on this year, considering we didn't have as much success with Alex? So, given that most candidates don't run for re-election, how are we going to keep you directly accountable on the things you're campaigning on now?
Okay.
Right. First off, the position of VP External, a lot of the focus is on lobbying. You don't lobby for something in 1 year, and it's not going to happen right away. You have to take a long-term approach. You have to develop the contacts with the people you need to be in the know with. You have to develop policy, research that policy, and then you go on and advocate for it. Over this year, I have developed a policy on new University Act, which would increase student representation at board level, something I advocated for. CASA, I'd written up a huge presentation to council that I did. Councillors, I would hope, had sent that information out to all of their constituents. So there were reports on CASA and what they're doing as an organization. And I did bring the question to referendum in a December motion. So there was that progress there. Like I said, students need to look beyond the 1 year and look at the larger picture and how we're going to achieve goals long term.
All right, so I guess I'll be answering my own question there. I mean, this is a question that Brittany and Pat got a lot as well. I mean, and it's tough. I mean, it's basically a personal choice. In all honesty, it's who do you think is going to be more accountable? And I think one of the big things that I've been talking to administration and to Sam about is teaching council that they are the ones who hold the executive responsible. The executive, yes, we lead council, but council has just as much right as the executive to make motions in council and to provide us and to ask us questions. I think that's a really big thing, but I also think it's a two-way street. Not only is council have to ask us questions, we have to ask council questions. And we have to be transparent and honest in what we're doing and what we're letting the students know about.
Okay, and you each get 30 seconds to follow up.
And I guess this is my opportunity to continue. These positions, it takes a while to fall into the role. It takes months to really get into it. And I was warned about this when I took this on by my predecessor. He said, Alex, you're likely not going to get anything done until the second semester because it takes so long to develop the relationships that are necessary and fall into the role and realize exactly what and how you can do what you want to do. I've got that now. I can go forward in the coming year. I'd like to do this job for 2 more years, and having those relationships built up are going to help with that.
And Mark?
So I guess I'll actually respond to what Alex has said because I think I've said everything I want to say. But I do want to extend my appreciation to what Alex has done this year with the MBSA and all of the troubles that they've had. I mean, unfortunately, the MBSA website is actually down right now, so I wasn't able to do that much research on it besides what Alex has told us in council. So, but I would argue that within the university, those connections and those partnerships that are needed to create a positive change have been lost, and I'm looking to reform those and build those bridges again.
As an American student, I think it's one of the greatest things about Canada that your educational programs are a lot more accessible than they are back where I'm from. But it seems like in the past 10, 15, 20 years, Bounty has just continued to pump up their prices and ask for more money. And it seems like one of the major issues is the dramatic difference between being a part-time student and a full-time student. And maybe something as simple as taking 1 or 2 more classes is going to make you pay a lot more money than you would have being a part-time student. I just want to know what the SAC is planning on, and if you guys are elected on changing or working on that issue.
That's a really good question, and it's not something that most of us think about, is the high cost of international students, because although we are currently looking for more, there's not a lot of international students here comparatively. But I think, I mean, I know this has been bandied around quite a bit this year, is the needs-based bursaries and those things being extended to international students. I mean, it's tough. I mean, students need to realize that the administration operates this institution as a business. It is a business, you know, and if students are willing to pay to come here, they're going to make you pay out of the teeth for it. But I don't think that, I think that means that you need to demand more out of the quality of education that you are receiving here and the quality of student life that you're receiving.
And there is no easy answer to that. I've done my best to talk with the university administration about this, and they're really in a no-budge situation on changing, for example, to a purely per-course tuition model, which was something that was advocated for last year. The universities just, you know, they've shut all doors. They say it costs too much money. It's no good. And you know what? It's hard to come back at them with a way to say, you know what, you morally have an obligation to change the way you're billing students, even though the cost could be very substantial in the long run. I do believe in, you know, you pay for what you're taking. You should be paying by per course rate.
Do either of you have a follow-up or counterpoint?
Just to respond to the per course tuition thing, I mean, that the SAC has put itself into a bit of an awkward position there because of our referendum question. It was worded that we would just ask the administration to look into it, and that doesn't really mean anything. But that's, again, lobbying and partnering effectively and talking with the administration about how we can do that, and not going immediately to demanding that they fix these things when we need to have positive conversations with them before we're doing that.
Yes, yeah, I agree, and I have been trying to get those positive conversations, but again, for this university administration right now, it's pure dollars and cents, and they lose money on a per course model. And actually, it wasn't, the referendum question wasn't about the university should investigate it. It was the SAC should advocate for it, and I've been doing that over this year, and you know, not too much luck, but how do you convince the university that they should, you know, give up an extra $1 million in revenue or what, you know, whatever numbers Ron Byrne throws at you, which are, I think, bogus.
I saw questions. Okay. Yeah, we're trying to pay attention to you guys.
Can I request that somebody answer first?
Didn't want this question. Next up to
well,
answer.
I'll wait till the next question.
Okay.
that's why.
Strategy.
Okay, this is sort of two different questions for both of you. Alex, for you, you're saying you want to run for president of the NBSA. Now, how could you effectively split your time between being president of the NBSA and still do your job comfortably as VP External? Do you feel that there would be a conflict of time interest? Do you feel you can manage it? If so, how would you manage it? And Mark, what would you see your position in the NBSA be if you were to be elected VP External? Would you be just another voice in the crowd, or do you feel you might take on a position similar to what Alex is saying?
All right, wait, is me first?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, for one thing, I didn't really get to go into this. Like, there is this sort of power vacuum in the NBSA where likely, if I were elected, myself and only one other person would be returning members to the board. So really, from the two of us, one of us would really have to step up, and I've made it clear that I'm willing to do that. I think it'll enhance my ability to work as VP External here, in that the president of the NBSA would be getting more meetings with the Minister of PSE. I'm also sitting on the board of the Maritime Province's Higher Education Commission, which is what the past NBSA president did as well. And you know what, building those relationships with the minister's office, with even people in Nova Scotia and PEI and how they do education is going to be beneficial to the ability for me to lobby as the Vice President External. So it would be a complementary enhancement of both the positions.